Righty then, part 2. We're still on the radar. Actually, we're under it. See that? I learned how to do that from Tom Cruise on a movie where he was flying up from... Anyways, got to stay below those. Good old Tom Cruise. Cruising along, Top Gun, and he starts flying twin engine. I think it was an Aero Commander full of yayo up from you know where. He gets selected because he got caught smuggling Cuban cigars as an airline pilot. Wow, this place is going to be a little packed too. No problemo. Parkway out here. Let's go take a look. Be right back. Now, maybe in one of the prior videos I made, you remember that this is where the air zoo began. It was all in here at one time. Of course, the F-14 wasn't here yet, and some other planes that are in here. That's really interesting. We have SR-71s leading us into the last museum, the main part. What are these right here leading us into this part? Well, we may see a little restoration going on in here today. You never know. I think we should go in there and take a look. Well, here's a little picture of myself standing here next to the Canberra bomber overlooking the airport behind us. Take a look around there. Hats off to all of you today, including my fellow veterans out there. Have a lot to remember, have a lot to be thankful for. That's for sure. All my buddies in the 3rd AD. Wie geht's? Wo ist der Bahnhof? Wo ist der Polizeistation? Nix is a Polizeistation. All right, very good. Enough of that. Let's go inside here where it's warm. It is 13 degrees out, and my nose is turning red. Be right back. Well, back in the day, the A-10s, they were stationed over in Battle Creek, and they deployed from Battle Creek over to the Persian Gulf. And here they are, doing a little air cover over there in the Afghanistan area. We'll take a look at some battle damage from one of these. All right, here it is right here. 110 airlift wings, storied history value. Battle Creek. There's the damage. That's over Iraq. Was able to land the aircraft safely. And then instead of putting the cowling on the scrap pile, they brought it over here and donated it to the air zoo. How do you like this? You can see the honeycomb construction, the lightweight aluminum, very, very strong. See how they make that? Honeycomb. Okay. Very strong. Look at this material. Okay? And the steel itself, the metal covers it. See how it was peeled right back by the blast. Hit with a surface to air and a aircraft missile. Nacelle. A very interesting little piece to look at here is this is the fuel connection right there. There's the fuel line that would come into the engine. Of course, the engine would be mounted, as you see right here on the starboard side of the aircraft. And where she was plugged in over there, right into the fuel. There you go. Be right back. Always kind of amazing to look at the old propellers too from back in the day. And you notice that some of them were all wood And they didn't last too long. Yeah, the leading edges of the blades of the propeller get chewed up. Okay, really wear. So they figured out how to tip them with brass. And that was a design feature in itself, to be able to make that so smooth and to fit right against the blade that you can't tell. You can barely tell, even to this day, more than 100 years later. Or almost 100 years later. Yep. This one's seen a little tip damage. See? That's how they did that. All right. Some of these motors right here are from older aircraft as well. Aircraft industry was basically just kicking off into the civilian market. Here's a nice 6-cylinder Continental. Really something. Here's a Hearth motoring. The jugs are down on the bottom and the crankcase is up here on the top. And to tell you the truth, this engine right here, you get that fired up, put that in a little race car or a little side-by-side or something like that, okay? That thing would go like a you-know-what. Look here into where they're doing the rebuilding the aircraft. Oh, they've come a long way since I was here. The fuselage is all together. And they've got the wing roots and it's all mounted. There's even tanks in the wings. We're going to go down and take a look. This is an engine right here out of an SR-71 Blackbird. Okay. And behind it, hanging on the wall, or from the ceiling, I guess we could say, is one of the engines from the Saturn V moon rocket. Go take a better look. There you go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 blast off all the way to the moon. We're standing right next to one of them. Let's go in here and see if it'll curl our hair. Look at that combustion chamber. Can you believe this? The echoes. Look what this is made out of. Solid steel. The best quality. Look at the outside. Unbelievable manufacturing. Very cool. And a couple of other little rocket motors next to them there. Let's go back here a second and see. This is what they're working on right now. Remember I talked about in the other building, they have one that they had completely restored. They found in the bottom of Lake Michigan. All right. Here's another one. Here's another one. And back here is where they're going to work on it. Also, they're working, you can see back here on the engines for the Catalina flying boat. I believe that that's what these are. Right back here. Very cool. Back here they're working on some of the other control surfaces. And then here's one of the dive brakes, the speed brakes off the dive bomber. As we go over to look at that renovation, that restoration I should say, take a look at this J58. 34,000 pounds of thrust, weighs 6,000 pounds dry. The engine that the SR-71 Blackbird uses, 2 of them. Fly higher than 80,000 feet. almost 3,000 miles an hour. I think it goes faster than that. I think it goes 3,700 miles an hour. Here's the afterburner. The turkey feathers are retracted. Full afterburner. Yep. A couple more of the engines. Here's what the plane they're working on looks like going in on an attack. Die brakes extended. That's a night attack too. And back here you can see one of the gentlemen right here. A couple of them working on its engine. All volunteers in here. They've been doing this kind of work for years on all kinds of aircraft. Just think how that looked in that earlier picture just a second ago. Yep. They'll get this flying in another couple years, maybe sooner than that. Every rivet, everything, all completely remanufactured, replaced. Things that they could use, they used. Other things, they made. All right, won't be long. Look what's right next to it. One of the wings from the Catalina flying boat. Here's its picture. Many airmen, Marines, Navy, also merchant marine were rescued in the ocean. The Pacific, mostly, also in the Caribbean, in the Mediterranean, and in the Pacific. You can see those pontoons on the ends of the wings. Okay, they fold up against the outside of the wings, forming a little extra tip on the wingtips. But when they land, they fold down and they stabilize the flying boat. And you get to look right inside the wing, right here. Right inside the wing structure. Pretty cool.
Of the whole thing.
Okay.
Your floats are on the end of the wings.
Right.
Okay. And then you got the section, which is what this is. And then you got your box frame with the fuel tanks and the engines.
So that's the spar box.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
And that's a box frame.
Oh.
These are actually box frames too. You got one over here and one up here at the back.
Last time I seen this, it was sitting outside.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's come a long ways,
right.
Man.
The box frame, actually, you think about it, it's a good idea because if you had your sponson or your float, hit a wave and the airplane isn't hitting that same, imagine all the torque on that wing out here.
Yeah, it'd snap it.
Yeah.
It would torque it. It would twist it.
It would
torsion twist it.
That's right. It'd be a rotating moment out on the end. So
not good.
Yeah.
Well, isn't that something?
And the airplane was notorious for bringing its crews back alive,
That's what it's all over. Every place we went, they brought them back.
Yeah.
Merchant Marine, too.
Uh-huh.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like this. You can see here they're putting just some coats, getting some of the ailerons and so forth. Oh, boy, they have a part back here painted. Here's the paint booth back here as well. They have another piece maybe in there curing, maybe. Well, back here you can see them working on the tail surfaces of the flying boat. And out here too, oh, they're masking it off to get it. They're going to paint the stripes on it, numbers and everything. Really cool. They have the other one right back here. Okay, they're on these rotisseries. They can turn these all the way around 360 degrees and get them to the directions they need to work on them. Yep. These are the wings. Very, very, very cool. But these are the dive bomber SBD Dauntless wings of the dive bomber they're working on over here. And the other ones that they have completely renovated and reconditioned over the years. There's one that's in Hawaii. The pilot was able to survive that ditching with the aircraft. This one, the pilot did not. He was killed as he went into Lake Michigan back in the training days of World War II. Well, here we have nose-to-nose arch nemesis, even during the Vietnam War, with this little guy right here. These were long gone by then, by Vietnam. This is the F-86 Sabre, 650 caliber machine guns used during Korea. They used the MiG-15s for a little bit longer period of time. These morphed into MiG-17s. And of course the MiG-21s and on. Okay? The MiGs used a, with 23 millimeter cannons. I think a 35 millimeter cannon as well right there. All cannons, no machine guns. The Sabre jets used 6 Browning 50 caliber machine guns. Yep. You can see right here behind the MiG, they land so fast, they have to use speed brakes. So you can see that's the speed brakes deployed. The Sabre jet has them too. The speed brakes for the Sabre jet are right here. The panel's closed. This square panel right here would open up, just like the brakes over here on the MiG. Of course, this MiG was manufactured in Russia, and then it was sent to Poland, which was under the Warsaw Pact back in the day. And this was in the Polish Air Force, and it had the red and white checkerboard Polish Air Force moniker on the tail and so forth. And it has been converted back into its natural Soviet markings. Here is quite a historic little mallard. This is a G-73. It's an amphibian, okay? It's a heck of an airplane. It was used to land on water and then taxi up on the on land. You can see executives coming into New York City or wherever. All right, and here's the cockpit today. I see KX-155s down there. I see a KM-24 audio panel, a couple other things. All right, but guess who flew in this plane? And this is a beautiful example of a mallard. I must admit, Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes once piloted our mallard. Let's take a look at this plane that Howard Hughes once piloted. It is in absolutely pristine condition. It's beautiful. Really, really cool. Right back. You can see very similar to the rescue plane we have over there. They're working on how the wings had the little end pieces that could flip down and act as buoyancy for the wings. Well, so does the mallard. There's the little supports and the outboard wingtips. Give a little bit better stability once they land. And of course, retractable landing gear. You're landing on the runway. You can land it on the runway, or you can land it gear up on the water, and then taxi out of the water, putting the gear down in the water, and taxi up on the beach and up onto a hard stand and park there and let your passengers out. It's amphibious. Pretty cool. The flying boat that Howard Hughes flew. Right back. Here's another one of the Grumman cats. This one never flew in any of the cat flights. These were out of commission, and none were flying then. I don't know if this one is in flying condition or not, but it's the Grumman Cougar. It is a naval carrier-borne training aircraft. Pretty cool. Another jet that's reminiscent of this aircraft was a Panther jet, And the Panther jet is no longer here in the Air Museum. It had an accident on takeoff. It was completely renovated, and I don't believe it flies. I think it's in a, it may still fly in air shows. Don't quote me on that. I haven't seen it in a long time. Nose, I believe it was number 209 from the Bridges of Toko-Ri, was all painted like that. That was also in one of the famous Grumman cat flights here, and they used to have it here on display. It's no longer here. They're just getting the numbers and the striping done now. Those numbers painted on there, pretty cool. Well, this was the largest Rick Herder military mural on Earth. But now it's over in the other building. That whole circular mural going all the way around that we looked at in my first video today, that was all hand painted by Rick Herder. Same gentleman that painted this one. B-17 with his escort. And look who his escort is. Yeah, P-51. Alright, we'll look at a couple other ships here. Be right back. Okay, we're going to take a look at an F-117 Alpha Nighthawk. We're going to look at Shaba. Shaba was the first F-117 to be allowed to be given to a museum anywhere in the world. And here you go. It's one of its BLU-109 precision laser guided bombs. And here is Shaba. Now you don't have nose art on these planes because they were secretive and they were stealthy. And other than having the little 8 fighter squadron, the black sheep right there, there's nothing visible on the aircraft. The captain's name, where they generally go, everything was kept internal in the bomb bays. And here are all the signatures, most of them, from the men and women, and there are a couple, that worked on this aircraft. Serviced it, flew the missions. Some of the pilots can't sign their names. Some of the pilots have to go by a little handle, kind of like a trucker. Okay, here's one from Texas A&M University right there. Second Lieutenant Fleer DeForer, Gig'em, he puts on there. That's right, saw him off in Gig'em, right there. All right, and there's Shaba. There's the technical sergeants and other people on here that service the aircraft, the bomb loaders. There's a Lieutenant Joseph right there. Okay, and I'm standing right up here in the bomb bay now. Look all the way around, it's lit. We're going to do a Louis Offer 360 in Shaba's bomb bay. There's some good American-made hydraulics and electrical gear right there, that's for sure. There you go, Shaba's 360. Let's go out here and take a look at parts of this aircraft. I don't have to duck down like this. Makes me want to fly again. Right back. These little probes in the nose are a type of Pt-2 tube. This is flown by wire. And there are sensors in here that need to know exactly where the airflow is coming and how it's coming and so forth, the different angles of the airflow. And they go into a computer, and the computer lets everybody know plane's flying safely and straight. Be right back. This is a test. Okay, they have a great little model here of a West German starfighter. Okay, we're going to go down and look at one of ours. Okay, here it is. Known as the missile with a man in it. They had to put the refueling probe on the outside. F-104C Lockheed Starfighter. These were interceptors intercepting the nuclear bombers coming in. Also in West Germany, the West German Luftwaffe bought these aircraft from the United States and used them for the same thing. They also are nuclear capable. Okay, here's the firing port for the 6-barreled M61 20mm General Electric Gatling gun. Right there's the feed link device. Come from the feed and down into the weapon. Here's the engine intakes, 2 engines. Look how thin the wings are. The wings are paper thin. The fuel storage was internal from right behind the pilot and all the way back in here a ways where there wasn't an engine, there was fuel. And of course here on these large tip tanks on the outside. And we can see here they held 92 gallons. 92 gallons. That's in that part of the tank. In the rear part of the tank, 142. The Lockheed Starfighter. I think these flew about 1,400 miles an hour. Well, I was wrong about that. Maybe in a dive they went 1,150 miles an hour at 50,000 feet. There you go. Right back. Of course, again, right here next to Shaba. Now, these planes were extremely hard to handle. Many of our own pilots were killed in training accidents in these planes. When they were turned over to the West Germans, they lost so many pilots they almost grounded them. I think they did for a while. Yep. You really had to know how to fly these birds. Something special here. We'll just take a final look here in the starboard bomb bay of Shaba. You can see through the mirror up here in the bomb bay, it's packing one of the laser guided bombs. Of course, the training unit is tucked away right up in here. There it is. There's the seeker right there. It's seeking to meet you. It's going to pleased to meet you. And on this side, right next to the Starfighter, is the F-11F Tiger of the Blue Angels. Very, very cool. Another one of the cats. You can see how the wingtips fold down so they can also store these aboard the aircraft carriers. All right. Yeah, I'll just take a little exit here, walk by one of the largest piston aircraft engines that you'll ever find. The Pratt & Whitney R4360 35 Wasp Major. Look at all the cylinders we have going on there. Think of all the spark plugs. 2 ahead, I believe. I think they're 1 and 2. Yes, they are 2 ahead. Yep. It has 28 cylinders. It's air cooled. It has a displacement of 4,360 cubic inches. That's 71.45 liters for all of us from Europe. The power is just about 3,500 horsepower. An aircraft that flew these, well, they had 4 of them, of course. Pretty cool. From this motor, here is the Bendix-Stromberg direct fuel injection system. Each one of these units, you imagine this now, okay? Right down here on the bottom, it says, unlike a regular carburetor, Fuel is delivered directly into the injection pump. The pump then feeds 2 distributor assemblies of 14 separate fuel lines for a total of 28, one for each cylinder. And here's the unit. I'll put my hand right here on it. It's no small piece. It's the size of a 4-cylinder engine out of a car, if you will. Look at the injectors on the top. Okay, and this is just one that feeds 4 lines. Look at this. All right, just to get the juice to this engine right here, and 3 more just like it, all made in America. Now here's a turbo supercharged Major R 4360-4, and up here on the back you can see one of these assemblies mounted right here. That's the carburetor, if you will. It's the fuel injector, if you will. And here's the cylinders. This is a cutaway so that people could be trained on them. You can see the pistons, the connecting rods. There's the camshaft running down the center. Wow. And this is a rotary. These are rotary motors. Pratt & Whitney cutaway. 4,300 horsepower at takeoff. Really something. I'll be right back. This one right here is a Wright Cyclone R1820. It's a Cyclone 9. Okay. Here's its carburetor right here, so to speak. Here, let's give it the goose. No. The Douglas DC-3s, like the C-47 we seen in the other room, they use these. Pretty cool. Airliners use these. The Albatross, the Trackers, the Electras, the Super Electras. I've ridden an Electra. 047s, T-28s, all kinds of aircraft have used these, including, that's right, there you go right there. All right, B-17s. B-17s had 4 of these, of course. Here's where the propeller would be attached. Up above, there's a little 01 from the Marine Corps from Vietnam. Little bird dog up there. Oh, this is an OE1 from VMO 6. The twin engine Cessna 02 bird dog took over for these. And then about the same time, the OV-10 Broncos, Rockwell product, twin engine turboprops, took over for the Skymaster, the 337 or the 02. These are what started it. Also in World War II they flew these. Pretty cool. Be right back. And here's a little look at an F-16 cockpit. It's a training module. You can see that they don't have a stick in the center anymore. They use the HOTAS system. Okay. Also, they're reclined backwards. Look how that seat sets. Okay. This right here is the stick. Over here, this is the throttle. He has one hand on the throttle and one hand over here on the stick. And the HOTAS, that's hands-on throttle and stick, I believe is what that stands for. And this is the system. And this is all fake appliques in here. You can see down here where his foot pedals would be. Guess what that little red handle is over here? All right, let's go take a look. You want to make sure you know how to use that, especially when you're landing. This, folks, is your landing gear. Up, gear up. You'll have a light. Down, gear down, see the white button, and locked. Right? That's how that works. Here, folks, is one of the Continental Motors V1650-7 Merlins. Okay? This is a 12-cylinder, liquid-cooled, 1,700 horsepower. They flew them in all kinds of aircraft. You name them. Okay? Continental built Rolls-Royce. This Pacific engine right here during World War II was built in Muskegon, Michigan. After the war, many of these ended up in tractor pull tractors using the aircraft, Allison aircraft engines and so forth. Okay, well, this is a Merlin. This is a Rolls-Royce, but made in Muskegon. How you like that for an intake? And you can see they like to use Acme parts. Be right back. And lastly, today we'll take a look at the cockpit, and it has most of the instrumentation in it from an F-106, maybe the Convair company from the day they made the big B-36 bombers, many other things. The Hustler, the B-58 Hustler, all Convair. Look at the ejection seat. Everything is still there. And inside, all the original avionics from back in the day. Okay, here's the stick. You have to put it together to get in once you're in the aircraft. You pull these handles here on the sides, as I do right here. You eject. Boom. Right? Remember we talked about the landing gear? Okay. Well, let's see if we can find the landing gear in here. It may be over here on the panel. I don't see it down here on the board. The throttle is right here. Here's the throttle. There's balls to the walls right there, all the way forward. There you go. I do not see the gear. I see the hook down. Huh, all right. A couple other things in here. Very interesting. So it flew with its landing gear always open, always extended. No, I doubt it. I just don't see it. Anyways, I wasn't an F-106 pilot. You know, you'll see these little displays in different restaurants and so forth here in Michigan, but I can testify that there is a lot of these places are wonderful places to go to. I don't think there's a place here I wouldn't like to go. And they're all here in Michigan. Pretty cool. Right back.
What's it cost to take the tour? 18 bucks.
Okay, folks, thanks again for coming with me here today on this two-parter. Veterans Day we've spent at the Air Zoo. A lot of fun. A lot of remembrance. Thank you all out there for your service. I sure do appreciate it. And we shall see you in the next one. Feels good to be out here. It's a little warm inside. Nothing wrong with that. Have a great and safe day.